Today's opening tip, Myles Garrett, the top pick in the 2017 NFL Draft, went on Cleveland sports radio and ripped Kevin Durant, saying he, quote, took the easy way out and, quote, broke the league. I mean, this kind of feels like a take from 2016, but who am I to say that?
Yeah, didn't the Cleveland Browns break their league?
I mean...
There's that. And I'm sure he would have loved to get drafted by the Patriots if they had the number one pick.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I don't know. I mean, at some point, we got to come up with something new to say. Just saying, be creative. That's all.
Shots fired,
no,
Garrett.
Not a shot. I just saying, be creative. You can diss anyone you want. Yeah. Just bring a little something to it. That's all we're asking for. Welcome to The Jump. I'm Rachel Nichols. Our insider, George Sedano, is back. Kevin Arnovitz is back.
Kevin Arnovitz, ladies and gentlemen.
Snappy as ever. And Dwight Howard is going to stop by in a little bit. I love the summertime. Just everyone rolls through, everyone comes through LA, and everyone comes through The Jump. Go. Remember, around the middle of the season, when the Lakers tried to tamp down fans' expectations about them having a blockbuster summer, first they let it leak that the front office was, quote, recalibrating its focus to include not just the 2018, but the 2019 free agency class, so that it wouldn't seem like as much of a failure if they, I don't know, didn't land big free agent fish, LeBron James and Paul George. A few weeks later, another well-placed report, this one saying that LeBron coming to LA was, quote, still a long shot. And it all kind of worked, sorta, for a little bit. Then the playoffs ended and bang, hopes up here in LA shot right back up to the sky like a helium balloon with all the requisite frenzy. PG showed up on the red carpet of a video game event the other night and got hammered with Lakers questions. Casinos started releasing LeBron free agency odds, listing LA as 7-4 favorites. Kawhi Leonard trade scenarios started floating around with the idea that maybe the Lakers could collect him, Paul George, and LeBron all together. And then there was Gary Payton telling Black Sports Online that LeBron's son had already, quote, committed to play for a local high school basketball team. A team that, by the way, already stars Scottie Pippen Jr. and Kenyon Martin Jr. Now, I'll be honest, that last storyline bothered me a bit just because I always find the where is the kid going to school free agency stories pretty creepy. And since we actually had Scottie Sr. on The Jump earlier this week, I thought, hey, let's just have Scottie knock that one down on TV. At least that's what I thought was going to happen. Instead, this happened.
Well, I mean, I kind of made a few calls yesterday, and from what I'm hearing, nothing is official yet. So it's not to say that it can't happen.
Wait a minute.
Nothing is official.
Yeah. Look, you know what's happening?
Nothing is official.
We're getting a super team in high school now.
Oh, of course we are. Not official yet. Yeah, lots of media picked up on those Scottie comments, and the frenzy only got even frenzier. Oh, and then last night there was this tweet from Lakers owner Jeannie Buss. Quote, do not ever underestimate. And then 4 lines later, nothing else to say. Of course, fans have no way of knowing what Jeannie was tweeting about. Don't underestimate could be the Lakers free agency mantra. Alternately, she could be telling people to never underestimate the power of cheese. Who knows? Regardless, all this hysteria has put the Lakers pretty much back where they started. If after they cleared all this cap space for 2 max salary slots and brought back Magic Johnson in part for his value in the room in free agency pitches, and if they still come up empty-handed, it is going to be a hard sell to fans who are now already once again dreaming of a super team. Like it or not, the pressure is now squarely on the Lakers front office. Let's see what they do with it. And guys, I want you to take a look at the Lakers' last few free agent summers. We're going to just scroll them by. 2013, 2014. Obviously, the team was working under the now departed GM Mitch Kupchak for most of these, but still, as these screens roll by, there are some painful names and numbers there. George, you talk about this on the radio every single day in this town. Yeah. How confident are you that this summer will be different for the LA Lakers?
Well, it has to be. I think that's the point that you had there. And if it doesn't, it's going to be looked at as a failure. 5 seasons in a row, the Lakers have been bad. It's the worst stretch they've had in their history. And look, there are fans that believe blindly in Magic Johnson, and I understand why. I get it. But look, he's done some smart things, right? Clearly his drafting ability, him and Rob Pelinka, they've done a nice job with some of this stuff. But if they don't land the big fish, it's going to feel a lot like Mitch and Jim and Kupchak and Buss. And that's not a feeling Laker fans want to have.
You know, it's so funny. I always find it amusing to watch teams manage expectations. Becomes half the game. It's like these presidential candidates that go to New Hampshire and act like if they finish third, it's like a success for the campaign. You know, I mean, on one hand, I've never been a fan of, oh, they have to make the playoffs this year, or they have to land a big fish, or what? Or what?
Like, Jeannie Buss,
if the arena
calls on the radio every day in this market.
Well, and Jeannie Buss was on with us, I think, a year or so ago, and we were talking to her about the state of the franchise. And she said that her dad told her that you can't stay out of the limelight in this particular case or out of the playoffs for so long because you get out of people's consciousness. And it's been all these years, and they feel like it's necessary for them to be the crown jewel of the NBA again.
But the check will still cash from the broadcaster, right? Like, the arena will, season ticket holders are not going to walk away. I'm not going to suggest that it would represent a success if they didn't get anybody, but it was like, you know, I remember Windhorst and I were talking, well, if the Minnesota Timberwolves did not make the playoffs in 19, they had to, or what, they have to shovel all the snow in Minneapolis?
Right. Like, I do think, though, you get a fan base backlash, and it does feel like, I mean, I've lived here for only 3 years, so I've lived on the East Coast most of my life. Now I'm here, and it felt like for the first couple years I lived here, there was a little bit of resigned frustration. That fans knew the position the team was in, sort of knew the limitations of them as a free agent attraction, even with the Lakers name. There was frustration that the meetings weren't even happening, that they weren't even in the room for some of these big decisions. And it does feel like fans, there will be a backlash from fans, right? If they don't. And it's a weird margin, by the way, because they are going fishing for the biggest possible fish out there. So if they don't land that, there's really not a plan B.
Right. Plan B would be to sign one-year deals again and then hope for 2019. Yeah, look, I don't think it's necessarily a great plan even then because, again, you're building everything on hope. And Magic Johnson and Rob Pelinka were brought into this front office to not be Jim Buss and Mitch Kupchak, right? Because they were trying to sell hope for a long time. So, yeah, that's why they have to get it done, because you're going to get the backlash from the fans who this feeling is so foreign to them. And to have it happen over this amount of time now, 5 years is a long time. Like, if the Yankees were down for 5 years, they'd get crushed, too.
But it's not like a mid-market team swinging and missing or signing a bad contract and now it's irrevocable. They will come back in 2019. They will still be the inside track. I'm not going to minimize it or say this wouldn't be a failure, but I just think the or else. Or else is just such a relative term when you're the Los Angeles Lakers.
There also seems to be, there's a lot of this that me with the Lakers is so interesting because I don't think all of it's really up to them, right? They did everything to get ready. They set the table, right? They've got the slots open. They have the Lakers mystique and franchise, and they can offer all of that. They can offer everything LA has to offer. But in the end, I don't know what the conversations are between LeBron James, Paul George, and maybe Kawhi Leonard, right? On the phone with each other. If they all three want to come here, and obviously Kawhi would have to be through a trade, but that is something that is at least on the table right now if he doesn't decide to sign an extension with the Spurs. Then they're in luck, and they can make it all work, and great, they have to make the mechanics work on a Kawhi trade, but obviously they can be the place, the dinner table, where those guys try to form the next super team to take down Golden State. If Paul George decides, hey, I want to stay in Oklahoma City, I'm not sure I see LeBron James coming here by himself.
No,
I don't know, obviously. Maybe he would, but I think it would be much less attractive to come into the Western Conference and then be the only kind of guy with a bunch of very young players. So this might not really be even up to the Lakers, and then all of a sudden they are left with this empty dinner table. I just wanted to ask you guys, do you think the little things they can control, like you came in and we were talking about the Lonzo, Kyle Kuzma, that they've asked those guys to tone it down, or that Kobe Bryant suddenly is doing all this stuff to poke at LeBron?
Yeah, my thing with the Ball and Kuzma thing is, hey, look, if you are a 27 to 32-year-old superstar and you're looking for whom you want to play with, are you more likely to go to a team that comports itself like 16-year-old kids, or are you more likely to go to a team that comports itself like 30-year-old grown-ups? And so I kind of support the Lakers in that one. I mean, part of it is what are we playing with? I mean, they can't control, the inner workings of the minds of free agents, but they can sort of, have their shop in order. And the magazines are in order on the coffee table, and everybody's coming over, and let's make it kind of nice.
What do you think of the Kobe stuff? Because again, I mean,
so strange.
LeBron and Paul George, and maybe again, I hate throwing Kawhi in there, but it is a possibility. Who knows?
Of course.
If they decide to come here and they are whatever, I don't think anything Kobe says or tweets are going to change their mind. But there is this kind of weird interjection Kobe has made of himself, overshadowing kind of, oh, LeBron, and I'm here and you're there and all that. What is that?
It's really difficult, right? Like, just to kind of wrap your hands around or your head around it, because Kobe is doing this thing where, hey, don't forget about me in this conversation.
Right.
And I don't think he needs to do that. That's the problem. Like when I talk to people on the radio, right, and fans, they love Kobe. They are ride or die for Kobe. So I don't think he needs to do that. But the fact that he's doing that just, it feels like, why do you feel the need to do it? Like what is
because you're a narcissist? But if you...
But his place is so secure with this franchise.
Okay.
Do you think it affects LeBron at all? Look, if LeBron ever went to the Bulls, yes, he'd be playing, quote, in Michael Jordan's shadow, but there's so much separation between them. They never played against each other, any of that. I think it would feel different. If he comes to play in Kobe's franchise, I mean, he's also, I guess, playing a Magic's franchise, and he's the one who's offering him the ticket. Is there any sort of more, I don't know, I'm just kind of curious. You guys have both lived a long time.
Kobe's put it out there, right? Championships. When he told Alex Kennedy on the Hoops Hype podcast, he said, this town is about winning championships with an S. He stressed that part of it. And I think that puts some added pressure if you're LeBron or whoever to join the Lakers, that you've got to win multiple. It's not about just a one-off. You've got to come here and succeed and become a dynasty.
These guys definitely had more of a rivalry, Kobe and LeBron, than maybe some of the other sort of luminaries that he'd be coming to their franchises in. I mean, if he goes to Philadelphia, it's not a Dr. J.
Or Allen Iverson.
Yeah, right.
Do you think Kobe wants one of these guys to come?
I don't know.
He said he won't be part of the meetings.
Yes, he did say he wouldn't be a part of the meetings, but he'd be available for phone calls. And, of course, his old agent is now the guy with Magic Johnson running the Lakers, Rob Pelinka. Coming up, Kobe says, thinking, 2001 Lakers. Is this the best team in NBA history? As George noted, he has been inserting himself into the conversation. So we're going to have it with him. Well, not with him, but, you know, having the conversation. And first, this is our distant replay brought to you by Garmin. This date in 1998, Michael Jordan's last shot as a Chicago Bull. You all know it. Take a look.
Malone is doubled. They swat at it and steal it. Here comes Chicago. 17 seconds.
I don't want to hear any of you people yelling at your TV about pushing off. I don't want to hear it.
Or from championship number 6. Jordan.
Come on.
He pushed off.
There you go. George Sedano. Please. You going to call block charge next? Come on.
Extending the arm.
With 45 points.
Have you ever heard Andy talk about the photograph?
About this?
Yes.
What does he say?
It's the most complicated, interesting photograph that's ever been taken. It is because it required 18 people.
Oh, wow.
To take the photograph?
And it was actually taken not by the guy who took it, but by a button up in the rafters.
Oh, because they did the cameras
Yes.
up there and everything. See these moments, and we remember them all forever. See you in a minute. Nostalgia. A Reddit user posted all of the caricature shirts of the past 30 years, which are awesome. They should make a comeback, right? These were big for a while.
80s kitsch is fantastic.
Yeah.
80s kitsch, any day, anytime.
Right?
Yeah, throwback is always the way to go.
God bless Reddit. Love it. All right, Miss Drama. Bob Myers told The Athletic that his little dig at KD during the parade, quote, KD is fine. We laughed about it. No hint at angst at all. Sorry to cause a stir. Feel like this is now water under the bridge?
Yeah, listen, I didn't think it was as big a deal. I think there still may be like an inkling of KD, like, okay, did you have to say that in public, though? You couldn't have said it in the locker room or something? I think there's a little of that, but it was definitely overblown.
Right. What about you?
Well, I mean, the correct answer to we'll give him what he wants is we'll give him whatever our owner will give him. Right. I mean, that is the answer.
It's exactly like
not
Steph
Bob
Curry.
Myers'
They're going to open up the checkbook. Make bounce. This guy jumps over 4 people and then dunks it.
Oh.
Yes, this is the time of year we run these videos, and I'm not mad at it. Who do you guys think has this kind of bounce in the league?
Oh, still?
Gerald Green?
Yeah, Gerald Green
Oh, yeah,
is one.
that's good.
My man Nate Robinson's out there somewhere saying he can do that.
Aw.
Maybe Dwight, the guy who's going to join us later.
Absolutely. Look, Vince Carter was on the show last week, and he still gets up for those dunks. You never know. I don't think he can do this anymore, but he could. Good job. Miss Complacency. Jabari Parker working out with Ray Allen. That's kind of interesting. A little Bucks love there.
Yeah.
And Jabari, look, he's been rumored to be on the trade block. What do you guys expect?
Hey, listen, he has got a fascinating, odd, bizarre, wonderfully tantalizing offensive game. If he could shoot 40% from three-point range, he becomes a really intriguing offensive player.
Well, and if he's working out with Ray Allen, he's going to be in the best shape of his life, and he's going to be the most prepared for any basketball situation ever. As we remember that big shot in Game 6 against the Spurs, Spoelstra told us, Ray prepared for that shot. He knew how to deal with all that.
By the way, Bucks could use a shooter off the bench.
Ray, you still around? Did he retire officially?
Interesting. Nope. Not retired, wants to come back. Make growth spurts. Here's a 6'10", 12-year-old. 12-year-old. Playing organized basketball on 8-foot rims in Spain. At some point, I mean, don't you just play your kid up a little? Look at this. This seems... come on.
It looks like he's playing on a Nerf hoop, you know, at his house that he, like, stuck on the wall. Yeah, no, you got to go to a different class.
You should have to play with, like, a medium-sized animal on your back or something. There's some sort of additive there, yeah.
The reason why I don't understand this the most is this is not doing the kid any good.
No.
Right? Like, obviously, he's not learning anything here. You're playing with the equivalent of people a few years younger than him, so play him up. That's what people do.
For sure.
All right, we talked about in the last block. Kobe Bryant has been talking a lot about his own legacy, the Mamba mentality. Recently, he was asked by Alex Kennedy of Hoops Hype, does he believe if he and Shaq had stayed together, would that team be cemented as the greatest dynasty of all time? And to that, he replied, quote, I'll take that 2000-2001 Lakers squad we had against any team in the history of this game, any team. Kevin, do you agree?
The 56 win 2001 team? No, it's a good team. I mean, it's a really good team. You know, it's funny. I don't want to penalize them for, you know, the modern game, but there wasn't as much stretch. Although, I mean, Fisher and I think Rick Fox were 38, 39% shooters. It's just...
I think it's to judge each team in its era.
Right. I enjoy
how
imagining...
dominant were they in that era?
I mean, how much fun watching Shaq chase around perimeter players against a small line.
I mean,
then again, there's no one to stop Shaq.
That's what I was going to say. Right. I mean, I've always said about this, people say, oh, I don't know how Shaq would do in the modern game. Trust me, the modern game would partly fold around Shaquille O'Neal, right?
Yeah, I don't think there's any question that's the case. This team was, in essence, considered the Warriors of their time.
Right.
Unstoppable, almost unfair. It didn't matter what they did in the regular season because at the end, you knew they were going to be there. So there was that. But this is just another edition of Kobe doing the "Don't you forget about me." Dun, dun.
We're going to have to pay for the rights to that if you sing anymore.
No more. That's it. We're good.
That's it.
Yes.
That's
all you got.
Yes.
He's in all of our ears going, no singing. Do you guys have a nominee then for what you would say is the greatest team of all time?
It's this Warriors team.
This Warriors team, close, you know, the 2-3-peat Bulls team.
Yeah, the second.
That's the thing, like, right. I mean, I sit here and of course, the reflexive answer is this Warriors team, and it's certainly, I think, the most talented roster that's been put together, top 5 players deep at least, right?
And the funky thing, though, about
is that recency bias?
No, it is recency bias, but in the sense that the game has evolved. Steve Kerr always talks about this. Like humans evolve, and we are more skilled than the people 10,000 years ago. You know what I never saw? Was the 60 Celtics.
Right.
You know, there isn't a lot of NBA footage out there.
Right.
I mean, we can't watch, you know, NFL Films always did a great
11 titles, it's kind of hard to argue with that,
I mean, wouldn't it be cool just to transport yourself for 48 minutes?
Well, and those second three-peat Bulls, if you think about it, I mean, obviously Michael, Scotty, Rodman, right? But you have guys like Ron Harper who played on those teams as well. Like, there are a lot of guys, even that they're role players, that were very good.
They were just gritty defensively.
Yeah.
They stopped everybody. Yeah. We forget about their defense.
It is interesting that Steve Kerr is involved so deeply in these conversations.
Yeah.
He played for that, both the second edition era that you're talking about, obviously the coach of the Warriors. And you're right, he always says, look, anybody who's sitting there, and even when you get down to the LeBron-MJ debate, if you really match them up against each other on the court, you're talking about a guy who has a 20-year advantage in, you know, nutrition and conditioning and all of that stuff. I mean, you can't really put all those guys on the court together in any kind of hypothetical way.
Yeah, it is a story of evolution.
Right?
Yeah.
Bigger, stronger, faster, for sure.
But this is fun to argue with, and again, it goes back to the point of, hey, whatever players may come here in free agency, Kobe wants everyone to remember, and he's to me, he has earned that right. That's what you get when you win 5 titles. Hey, by the way, we did all of this here, so just know if you come to my franchise, this is what you will be in the shadow of. I mean, look, players are competitive, ego guys to each other. That's how it works. I'm trying I'm trying to not use
say the word that he
curse words.
I'm the hatchet man here. Yes.
Isn't not that word. I just look. There's like Kobe is the first one to describe himself as a word that begins with an A, and that's how guys are. When the best players, and Michael Jordan is one of the first people to describe himself that way, right?
But we could also consider it Magic's franchise. He's won as many titles as Kobe, and he's also in charge now.
Yes, so absolutely. And saying you're welcome to be here. Speaking of a guy who has played for the Lakers, we will be joined by Mr. Superman, 8-time All-NBA, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, Dwight Howard. We will ask him about the summer of LeBron, what's going on with his own team, and of course, we will play a game of What Were You Thinking? Hang out. 8-time All-Star, current Charlotte Hornets center, Dwight Howard. Thank you for joining us. We're doing a little, way back chatter during the break about, being excited and loving the game. And you were saying you can't even watch the finals, even now?
No, I can't. It's the hardest thing to do because you work so hard during the summer and throughout the year to make it to the playoffs and make it to the finals. And, it's only one team that can actually win, so all the other teams are super upset and, super sad for not being able to make it. But just watching somebody celebrate, holding up the trophy and having a parade, I think that's something that a lot of us dream about doing. And, it's the hardest thing to accomplish, but, I still have hope that one day it's going to happen.
Well, I mean, you've been in a final, so do you think that it's harder if you've actually been there to sort of be like, but that could be me, that was me?
It is hard, and I try to talk to a lot of my teammates and stuff and let them know, yo, man, this is the greatest experience of your life. It's to be on that stage where it's you and another team, and it's amazing, being at I'm just thinking about it now, at the games and all the media that's surrounding the whole event, and, before you warm up, back then they had the big finals balloon on the floor, and it's like, yo, this is what we're playing for. And I didn't even want to touch the trophy because I was like, this is going to give us bad luck. But looking back on it, I should have just held it.
I'm always going to remember that as the Disney series because it was Orlando and L.A. and just going back and forth from park to park. Well, you have been in that position of playing in the finals. You have also been in the position of having this crazy, coveted free agent summer. So we wanted to get you. You were like one of the few humans on Earth who can give us some perspective of this from the producers who brought you As the King's Turn, Hey Watch, and the Bobby and Toby Show. We now give you Watch the Throne. Now, we had our Michael Wilbon making the case on the Undefeated that if LeBron went to the Wizards in D.C., that would be a good move for him because he's so political. Look, I love Michael Wilbon. I will defend him.
You can take the guy out of the Daily column.
Of the earth.
You cannot take the Daily columnist out of the guy.
I am not going to say what is on your face. You say it, Dwight. What do you think about that?
Well, LeBron's going to run for president? No, seriously, is that what his goal is? I don't know.
I think just about anybody's eligible.
Right, well.
Unless you're over 35 and you're born in this country.
I wanted to be the first black president, but Obama beat me to it.
Right,
and I was like, you know what, I'm going to go for something else.
Something else, there you go.
I don't know if LeBron would go to D.C. for that. I mean, they have John Wall. He needs the ball in his hands. Bradley Beal has been playing great every single season. He's gotten better. So I think that would really slow down their development as players. Even though LeBron does make his teammates better, I think that John Wall and Bradley, the way that they're playing, and the Morris twin, those guys, they've been playing some great basketball, so I don't think that that's the piece they need. But LeBron being in politics, I think he can do that anywhere.
I was going to say, he can do that way. Their salary cap situation in Washington, too, would make that very difficult. But what is it like? What is it like to be finishing up a season and know that the first question you're going to get in whatever your final press conference is, and then all the speculation and everyone trying to get at you, what does that feel like?
It's crazy. For me, I try not to turn on the TV because every day it was, oh, he likes this team. Oh, so if I wear this hat, this is the team I want to go to. I'm like, man, it's just a fashion statement. But every day it was some type of news. If I said I like this type of player, oh, he's going to that team. And then all the fans of the city that you play for, they're like, oh, so you're just going to leave us? And it's like, man, that's not even the case, But it's a lot of fun, to actually have teams and cities and fans that want you. That's a great feeling. So I'm pretty sure LeBron's like, man, this feels great. And I know exactly how it feels, man. But at the end of the day, you really have to do what's best for you and your family. And it's hard because a lot of times you want to please everybody else and, try new things.
Yeah, I mean, look, he obviously is going to have a lot of people in Northeast Ohio who feel like he's theirs and will be very, I don't think it will be like the last time he left if he leaves this time, but it's still going to be emotional. You felt that pressure. I mean, you re-signed with Orlando when maybe you hadn't been thinking of doing it first, and maybe then in hindsight.
Yeah, I mean, at the time, it was like, man, I really don't want to hurt, all these people who basically grew up watching me, for those 8 years, so I was like, man, I really don't want to hurt these people. But for me, I'm like, but also, I just want to go somewhere and start fresh. That was my whole mindset back then. Is I felt like I was too comfortable in Orlando, and it wasn't the people there. I love the fans. I love the city. I have 2 of my children in Orlando, so it's like, man, this is the perfect place. But I was like, man, I'm too comfortable. You know, everything is just so easy for me here. And I said I wanted a challenge for myself. I wanted to really grow. And, you know, I don't have any regrets for what I did. I think everything happens for a reason. And I think it's made me a better person, you know, today.
To go through all the
To go through all the things that I went through, I think it's really made me a better person.
Absolutely. I loved the article you did with Sports Illustrated last year, kind of talking through all of that, because it's important to acknowledge the roadblocks you've had, acknowledge the things that were really hard for you so you can get better.
You have to, and then, like, I know for myself and guys like LeBron and KD and the guys who came straight out of high school, you know, we didn't get that chance to go to college and really learn about who we are. And everything we did, all our mistakes and everything was shown in front of the world. So we didn't have a chance to really just grow and be kids, you know, because we're going from 18 to now making millions of dollars and now being seen all over the world. So it's really a thing that, you know, if you don't have the right people around you and stuff like that, you know, it could cost you some years and some money.
You did okay, first of all. I'd just like to point out. You seem to have done pretty good. And you mentioned, like, you know, when you moved on at one point, you just wanted more of a challenge. LeBron had a lot of challenge in Cleveland this year, and there's, of course, been a lot of speculation maybe Philadelphia could be a place where he would have a little less challenging time getting people, because he's of course, you know, would have other sort of all-star co-stars there. But Charles Barkley recently said on a radio show he doesn't see LeBron going to the Sixers. The quote was, he's not coming to the Sixers because he needs the ball, Ben Simmons needs the ball, Embiid needs the ball. He's not going to give up the ball at this stage of his career. As someone who lives in the Eastern Conference, Dwight Howard, what do you think, sort of, how would LeBron fit in Philadelphia if that's the East team he chooses to jump to?
First of all, Philly's already a really good team. You know, they're one of the toughest teams to play in Philly because of their fan base, and, you know, they just play real good on the road, and they're becoming that team that has a fan base in every city. You know, even when they played in Charlotte this year, I was kind of upset at our fans, but it's okay. I still love Charlotte fans.
That's interesting.
There's a lot of fans, and they were saying trust the process during the game.
Were they people in Charlotte gear or Sixers gear?
It was a lot of people in Sixers gear.
Okay.
You know.
I want to ask, you know, do we make too much of this, oh, that guy needs the ball in his hands? I mean, unless you're Klay Thompson or a two-guard running around screens, which great player doesn't want the ball in his hands or doesn't need the ball?
Well, all of us want to have the ball, you know, in our hands because we feel like we can do something special with the ball. And this is what we work for. We work to show people that we have this type of talent. So LeBron going to Philly, I don't see that happening because they already have, like, the baby LeBron already with Ben Simmons, who he's doing almost all the things that LeBron has done for his teams. You know, he's getting the assists, he's getting the triple doubles, he's scoring, he's passing, he's rebounding, he's doing those things. I think if this was LeBron's last season and he wanted to really mentor a guy like Ben Simmons, it would be great. But like Charles said, Embiid needs the ball. He's going to want the ball. Then you have Ben Simmons who wants the ball, but they have a really good team. You know, they just need more shooters, I would say. They have J.J. Redick, who's an amazing shooter. Shout out to J.J., it was my old team. J.J. Redick, then you have Marco Bellinelli, then you got Ilyasova, and even their four-man, Sarge. All these guys can shoot the ball. And I've always liked Philly. Even with Rob Covington, they have a team that's on the rise. And the young guy, Markelle Fultz, he didn't even get a chance to play last season. So they're going to be one of those teams in the East that you have to watch out for, I would say, for the next 10 years.
Interesting.
But is it a real difficult adjustment? Because, like, we've seen some guys make it work. Like, we saw Harden and Paul make it work for the most part this season. And my guess is at year 15 going into 16, maybe it would be a good decision to go to Philly because you have these two young up-and-coming stars who are going to be top five guys.
Go to Philly.
I don't care where he goes.
I see what you're saying, but I think at this point in LeBron's career, I don't think that it would be a good move.
Okay.
And, you know, like I said, you got two guys who they're rising. You know, Embiid and Simmons, they're rising. You know, they're becoming great players.
So what do you think LeBron should do?
I mean, I can't say what somebody else should do, you know what I'm saying? And I know a lot of players have gotten up on here and said certain things about LeBron should go here or go there. But at the end of the day, he really has to do what's going to make him happy and the best decision for his career, you know, and you have to really take your emotions out of it because your emotions can really get in the way of making a good, sound decision. So whatever he does, you know, we're still going to compete. You know, as a competitor, I hate LeBron's guts.
You're like, go West, go to the
No, I don't. I
Conference.
want to play
It's
against him,
fine.
but I want to beat him.
Yeah.
You know, that's me being a competitor. I want to beat him on the floor. I'm not smiling with him. You know, I want to, you know, hard foul him a couple times, but that's me being a competitor. But, you know, as a man, I respect him. You know what he's done for the game, what he's done for his family. And I just have a lot of respect for, you know, a lot of the players in this league, all of them, because we all have come from nothing and we made something of ourselves, you know. So for LeBron, you know, he just has to do what's best for him and his family.
Well, you say you hate, you know, you hate his guts as a competitor, and you love playing about it against him, beating him. You're one of the only teams that knocked him out of the Eastern Conference playoffs in the last 10 years, so you can at least say you did it. So there you go.
I tell a lot of people that. Like, that's 10 years ago. Like, well, we're going to do it again.
It doesn't matter. You know those like not. You know that's when everyone says, "Oh, he was in the finals for 8 straight years." Guess who knocked him out?
The Magic.
Before that. So there you go. Here's what the Jump recommends for today. And by the way, we will be back with Dwight in the next segment because we got to play a little "What Were You Thinking?" But first, take a look at Kevin Pelton's story on ESPN.com, checking out exactly how a LeBron, Kawhi, Paul George team would work. Well, what were you thinking with Dwight when we get back? Stay with us.
I'm replacing the picture that I took from this spot. Should I put Bill Walton loves Bill Russell?
You could. You could put Bill Walton loves the jump.
Loves the jump.
There you go. I mean, who doesn't love Bill Russell? Everyone.
My favorite player ever, on and off the court. Loves, how do you spell the? The jump.
Just walked off with my Bill Russell picture.
You lost that transaction, Rachel.
I did, and at first he was like, "I'm taking this," and I'm like, "No, you can't." I mean, but nobody apparently says no to Bill Walton because he just took it anyway. Please don't take. Please don't. My walls can't take it.
What about the wheelchair?
No, I'll send you. I will send you one. I am. This is not a yard sale. Welcome back. I'm Rachel Nichols, Kevin Arnovitz, George Sedano. Dwight Howard is with us. Yesterday we played "What Were You Thinking" with Bill Walton on the jump. And you got some tall shoes to fill because there was like an iguana in that one. There was like all sorts of weird
like
things.
During the games?
No, but just some of his off-court exploits. Yeah. But you've got plenty as well, my friend, because first up, what were you thinking when you and Jameer Nelson made eye contact on this play in 2011? I want the monologue in your head. Go.
Okay, so when he got ready to throw the ball, I saw Drew Holiday about to jump, and I actually said something in midair, like, "What are you thinking?" Really?
What are you thinking, Drew Holiday?
This was like, I actually watched this the other day, like, I remember this play like it was yesterday, man. The arena was going nuts, and if you actually look at the bench, Andre Iguodala stood up like he was on my team and was about to clap.
See?
Watch, it's crazy. Like, he stood up.
There he goes.
See, look.
I look, one of the teammates is like, "Dude, what are you doing? This is not our team." That to me is always the thing. If you can get the opposing bench to start like cheering and clapping for you, you know it's a problem.
Oh, man, I'll never forget that. That is crazy.
You get all the hops for that, though, so.
Yeah, that's crazy. That was a long time ago.
And yet, we have seen you do some things in Charlotte in the past year as well.
Man.
So,
wow.
Still got it. Dwight, what were you thinking when Chris Paul jumped on your back for an intentional foul in 2015? You mentioned this in the last segment.
Well, I was thinking that Chris Paul wanted me to carry him to the finals. I'm just playing.
Shots fired!
Wow!
That's my guy. But he was really just trying to foul me before the play started, and I thought it was funny because I'm like, why is he jumping on my back? So I didn't reckon it's like one of my kids jumping on my back having fun.
Wait!
No, but for real, that's what it looks like. Like, but look at it, it's like, oh, daddy. Oh, man, but, I was so proud of Chris this year. I thought they had a really good season. And, I was very sad to see what happened to him that last game where he couldn't play.
Right.
And they ended up losing. I think if he would have played, they would have won the series and probably would have still been in a finals going on right now.
And by the way, you legit think that. I know you do. People think that, like, Dwight gets sour, like when the Rockets did well after you left or Lakers or whatever. You're not like that. You and I talk off that.
Well,
Oh, well, maybe.
Yeah,
Maybe you're putting that in front of me, too. Maybe you're putting that in front of me, too.
I mean, I wasn't sour to the point where I didn't want to see those guys play.
Okay.
But, you know, it's just a competitive nature. You know, you want to
Take me through your stages of sour, then.
Well, you want to be in that moment. You know, I have love for the city of Houston. I think James has had one of his best seasons ever this year. Clint Capella, I actually just hit him up the other day. I told him he's ugly. I always mess with him. But I think he had a really good year. Chris Paul played amazing. Just all those guys, you know, in Houston, I thought they had a really good year. So I was happy for it, even though I was mad at Trevor for those State Farm commercials that he was doing this year. But I really thought that they had a chance of winning it all this year. So I was very happy for them, and with the new ownership and everything that they've been doing in Houston, I thought it would have been a really good story, you know, because the floods and everything that happened, I thought it would have been a really good story. Like I said, I have a lot of friends and family and loved ones in Houston, you know, and we're like family, and that place is kind of like a second home to me. So, you know, I was happy for those guys.
See, there we go. All right, we got to get to this one because this is one of my favorite ones. What were you thinking when Tim Duncan did not rotate on the play in 2007?
Oh, this is the play. Well, Coach drew this up perfect. And when he threw the ball, I said, "No, Tim, why are you jumping?" And this is the second time I did this to Jameer. I think Jameer tried to give me, one of my teammates tried to give me a chest bump, and I kind of moved out to Carlos Arroyo. But, oh, man, that was a great moment, man. It's Tim Duncan.
Great.
You know, half of the reason why I wear number 12 is because I wanted to be the reverse of Tim Duncan.
Nice.
And he probably was like, man, I thought I could get up there and block it, and look at Pop's face.
Oh,
He's
amazing.
Like, Tim, if you had a higher vertical.
I think Pop is generally pleased with his time with Tim Duncan.
Oh,
yes,
of course.
All right, so this one is obviously has gotten a lot of airtime over the years. Dwight, please tell me what was going through your head back in 2012.
No!
When you put your arm around Stan Van Gundy. We're going to replay it for people who might not remember.
Why do you got to go back to the worst moment of my life?
When it comes out that one of the highest profile guys in the league has, you know, asked for his coach to be fired, I mean, it's going to be a story.
Yes, man, we're not worried about that, right?
That's what I just said. We got to be worried about winning games.
Yeah, what's our main concern right now? Jameer.
We have to stop Carmelo Anthony and the New York Knicks tonight.
And the New York Knicks.
And that was really weird.
It was the weirdest day of my life.
Yeah.
What time? All right, so give us some.
Okay, so that day, they said me and Stan had some beef or something like that where I wanted him fired. And
That is in fact what they said.
And I was like, what? I said, I never said that. So there's a guy named Brian Smits. Him and a guy named Joel Glass were in the back. And I was walking out, and they said, hey, you should go put your arm around Stan and let everybody know that y'all okay. So I was like, okay, I mean, I don't have a problem with Stan. So I go out there, put my arm around Stan. He says the little line, I say something, then he just jets out of there. The first question is like, Dwight, they said you want to get Stan fired. And I'm like, oh, my God. That was literally the worst day of my life. We had a game that night, and that was the worst game I ever played. Like, I could not hit the basket for nothing. You would have thought, I don't know what was going on that night, but it was the worst ever. So, man, shout out to Stan, man. Shout out to Stan, man.
You always did the best Stan Van Gundy impersonation.
No, he used to always go crazy.
Dwight!
I'll give you all a story about Stan. We're in the locker room. You can ask Marcin Gortat. And he's going around everybody. He's saying, like, he's like, scorer, scorer, scorer. He looks at Marcin. He says, well, he thinks he's a scorer. And then Marcin's like, oh, man, he's mad. He's like, you're not a scorer, Marcin. You know, Stan is so funny. Like, he would call me in his office, and he got these little bitty baby feet. He would have his toes out, and they'll be twinkling. So he's like, well, you know, Dwight, you know, I think you need to do more stuff on defense. You haven't been blocking shots lately, and I need you to block 3 more shots a game. I'm like, dang, Stan, it's 9 blocks a game. Nobody's ever done that. I don't care. You can do it. You're supposed to be Superman. And I'm like, okay, Stan. But, you know, Stan is animated, man. And shout out to Stan Van Gundy.
What is your relationship with Stan now?
We never really had a bad relationship. You know, he's just real intense when it comes to basketball.
Yes.
And when he loses, if you ever seen Stan after a loss, you'd be like, oh my God, this guy is crazy. I don't want to talk to nobody. He's going crazy.
Yeah.
But other than that, man, Stan is awesome. The stuff that he's done politically has been great. But I have no issues with Stan. You know, we went through that thing in Orlando, and I think a lot of people blew it out of proportion. But Stan is a great guy. We had some great times together. I remember when we won the Eastern Conference championship, and he came and hit me on the chest. He's like, you mother really. He's going crazy. I didn't say it.
I know.
But, you know,
Lamar Odom used to say, that's what he used to call him. He said, Lamar Odom played for him 1 year in Miami. He said, I didn't know my name. I thought my name was Mother Bleeper.
Because that was what he would say.
Right.
And I would say Stan had the craziest practices in the world. We practiced for 4 hours, knee pads, ankles taped, everything, man. But shout out to Stan, man.
And Stan, I am absolutely sure will be back as a coach in this league
will.
sooner than we know. Thank you very much. We are going to be back with Dwight Howard, but first here's our second distant replay from 2000. But thank you for playing along with us.
Yes,
we'll be back for one more segment after this. But we got to look at Kobe, year 2000. Watch this.
Kobe Bryant takes it for LA. Kobe with a great feed to O'Neal. A little wraparound backhand flip.
Well, they talked about what do you miss when Kobe's out? That's what you miss. He's the only guy on the team that can create opportunities like that in the open floor. That's just a great wraparound pass.
Canceled his pro day on Friday due to a strained hip. Sources confirming to ESPN, Jonathan Givony, that Porter couldn't get out of bed due to muscle spasms. Remember, he missed most of his freshman season at Missouri due to a back injury. He's ranked number 6 player in this draft, but I don't know. George, would you take a chance on him?
I would. I think he's got the highest ceiling. I think he may be the best player as far as talent is concerned in this draft. And I think because of the injury, maybe he's working too hard to get back, and this is some of that.
This is the hardest decision an exec has to make. You don't want to draft Sam Bowie, but you don't want to miss out on Joel Embiid.
Right. Well, what do you think?
The kid's young. He's going to have time to really grow and mature.
Back injuries are tough, though. And
I don't. Tough,
I'm not a doctor. I've never examined him.
I would say this: it's all about your work ethic. You know, when I messed up my back, I was supposed to sit out a whole season, and I came back in 4 months. You know, so it's all about your work ethic, and you know, you got to give the kid a chance, man. You know, I think all these kids have high ceilings. You know, you just have to really spend time with them because they're so young. You know, at a young age, a lot of things can distract you from being great, you know what I'm saying? So I think this kid, I think he has a chance to be amazing. So take that chance. If it doesn't work, then,
Well, he's an outrageous talent. We know that. We'll have to see if he can stay healthy. I think that's a good analogy, Kevin, though. It's a lot to weigh. Thank you, Dwight, for joining us.
Thank you,
to
Stan.
you guys. Thank you,
No,
Stan.
don't thank me.
Coordination. That's it from LA.